I'm a gamer. I've been playing video games my whole life. I started back in the early 80s when I was born, and basically all of the devices since then, I've played with them more or less. And developing video games is something I've been doing also for a long time. I started as a teenager, doing my first games, modifying existing games. So one way or another, developing video games I've been doing for more than 15 years now. And developing them for a living, like actually earning money by making video games, I've been doing for 10 years now. And throughout those years, I've worked in various roles. I've been doing all sorts of things when it comes to games. I basically know something about everything except programming, so that's something that I simply can't do. And because of this, I think as a CEO, it gives me a good start because I basically know what our guys are doing, what type of problems they're facing every day. And that is something that personally for me keeps this whole thing so interesting. However, it's not just me. I have a team of 30 international talents in Finland. We have 2 studios. Together we worked for several years. We've done more than 20 global launches, worked on various platforms in the past. At the moment, what we're doing is we're focusing only on free-to-play strategy gaming on mobile. 2 years ago, we made a decision that strategy games is something we've always done, that's something we love doing, and that's something what we know how to do. And we decided that we want to focus only on mobile gaming and really shine on that. So we were set out to do something new when it comes to strategy gaming. And that's what I'm talking about today. And to keep things simple, I've basically split this into 3 things. These are the key things where we believe in. One is unleashing the full power of the devices that you have out there, using 3D graphics, making the games look the best they can be. Then second thing that we strongly believe in is what we call skill-based gameplay. So far, a lot of the strategy gaming on mobile has been more or less the type of games where it's pretty mechanical. A lot of it is based on mathematics and so on. So we want to bring the player skill into that mix, what you do with your fingers when you tap on the screen. And third big thing is that we believe that you shouldn't be restricted to matchmaking only when it comes to the multiplayer side. We believe that you should be able to play against whoever you want, and that's what we've done. Before we go into details, I want to give you a quick look on Raids of Glory, which is our latest release. We just launched it globally in January. And I'm going to be using that game as an example when we look into these topics further down the line. But anyways, here's Raids of Glory.
Welcome me hearty to the 6 seas, but that be a tale for another day. A legend be told of a mighty gang that will plunder and pillage the lands from a stronghold hidden away on a desolate island. They will build the most impressive pirate stronghold in glorious 3D. In battle, they will control the actions of every unit, where they run, where they fight, and where they hunt for booty. And when their enemies attack, they will be met by impenetrable defenses. They will recruit powerful heroes. They will fight in an epic story-driven campaign. Could ye be the one of legend?
All right, so that's what we do. So to go forward, first thing I'm going to talk about is unleashing the power of 3D, why to do it and how to do it and what it actually means. So the initial question that why even bother looking into making 3D, we want to be delivering highest quality to the players. We believe that the hardware is already powerful enough, so that shouldn't be any limitation to you. And what we're seeing right now in the marketplace is that many of the strategy games, they're quite old school technically. There's a lot of this 2.5D type of isometric view thing going on. And that's been the sort of norm for several years now. and we want to change that. We want to introduce third dimension into the gameplay, not just as a visual gimmick, but as something that really affects how you play the game as well. And of course, 3D, pushing the limits of the devices, that's something that's very important for the hardware manufacturers, the whole reason why Apple made metal such a big thing for them as well. So it's something where we believe in heavily. And to explain what we're doing it with some simple pictures. So here's how we see the typical isometric view. So basically, very often you have this flat pool table type of design in the games. There is no vertical axis taken into account. And that means that the strategies that you're able to play inside the game are also two-dimensional. So the lack of rotation and the fact that it's flat means that you only have a limited set of tools at your disposal. So when you add the third dimension, you are actually adding elevation into the mix. And that suddenly means that you have 360 degrees of rotation, and it changes the whole thing. Things can be hidden behind other objects. You can zoom in and out, closer, further away, and that gives you a different perspective into the gameplay. We'll be looking more into details what this means in terms of gameplay, but basically, in a nutshell, what we're doing is we're adding the vertical axis into the gameplay. How it looks in Raids of Glory is something like this. This is one of the villages from one of the players. So what we see there is that there are several different things that are different from this flat table design that you've seen in this genre earlier. You have the different levels where you can build in the gameplay levels, and you have cliffs, things that don't move, things that are fixed, and then you obviously have things like walls and buildings blocking down the way, which behave the same way that they do in every other game. But what this means is that you are able to design things taking into account that in no event and in no way is the enemy going to come this way because there's a cliff, and the potential routes which they could come are this and that. But more about that a little bit later. So now we have the 3D in place, and then we want to combine that with what we call with skill-based gameplay. How do you control your units directly? So why we wanted to make this in the first place was that we believed that in any other platform in the past, part of the fun was not just the mathematics, the strategical thinking inside your head that's going on, but what you do in, say, RTS gaming on PC. Part of the fun is the click fest that you have going on. I gotta direct those guys quickly over there. I gotta move them quickly in here. So we believe that this allows way more tactical thinking during the battle gameplay. So you not just have the strategical thinking that you do before you engage in the battle, but also during the battle you have the tactical thinking going on. And this essentially means that the outcome of the battle is more about the skills of you as a player than the skills you've used strategically before the battle. So back to the nice looking picture. So in a typical game like this where it's heavily AI based, how the characters behave, the strategy basically comes from where you spawn your units and when. And each of these units, both attacking and defending, obviously have their own AI that sort of orders them what to do during the battle. So the outcome in this type of scenario would be that the other green guy, he goes after the chest, the other green guy goes forward so he faces the enemy, and the outcome is something like this. And this is not optimal because obviously it means that that tower over there is able to shoot both of my guys down, and I'm probably gonna lose. So if we go into the skill-based approach, by tapping where you want these units to go, you're able to order this one guy in here to go a little to the side, which means that he will throw this enemy away from the cannon fire range and take care of him over there. And I'll tap one guy to directly attack the tower, and with the third guy, I tell him not to do anything yet. So once things go forward, I have somebody taking care of the tower, somebody taking care of the enemy, while this guy has a free access to the loot. So essentially, it's very simple things like this. But once you add them to the whole 3D view, that's when things get fun and complicated. So switching to something that's actually from Raids of Glory. This is from one of the single-player levels we have in the game. And with a quick look, it doesn't make that much sense that's what's going on in the screen. So if we look at this in more detail, so what we have here is these purple guys, which are scallywags. They are basically your infantry units that are good for looting buildings. So I've tapped them to order loot from that gold storage over there. And to make sure that they get there healthy, before that I have assigned strong clubbers, which are basically your tank unit. They are very durable and they deliver heavy damage, but they need to get really close to the enemy. So they go first, they take care of the bombs that's been set there as a trap, and they take care of the tower first. And meanwhile, I also have my hero unit who's taking care of the another cannon tower. So this means that mathematically, if I just spawn everything at once, let all the units to do their job with their AI, the outcome might be something very different compared to the one that I might get when I think that, okay, now I position this guy here, now I give them this type of orders. And this is something that we feel makes the single player way more interesting, but where it really gets revolutionary is the multiplayer. And more about that a little bit later. Also, this affects the sort of defensive gameplay. So I'm building my own base. I no longer need to figure out what type of AI is coming against me, and in which case we feel things might get a little bit boring sometimes, because the outcome is sort of, you can pre-calculate what the enemy is about to do. But in our game, it's a whole different thing, because it's a human player on the other side, and that human player can do things that you wouldn't expect them to do during the battle. They can find new roads in the level that you didn't even know to exist, or they might come up with some clever strategies no AI could ever come up with. So that means that you really need to pay more attention to the whole concept of building your defenses. And a little bit more about this also in the next thing when we talk about multiplayer. So multiplayer, getting rid of the matchmaking, that's the next topic. So why is matchmaking typically done? Obviously, it helps you to balance your opponents for every player that they will get during the PvP fights. Also, it's keeping the gameplay fair, because since you cannot control your units, the outcomes of the battle are something that if you spawn your units cleverly, if you have a good army setup, you should have a fair fight. So those are the upsides why matchmaking is very often done. And also it's a little bit easier to design. But we wanted to create something like in chess. So if you only have one soldier left, the opponent has still several soldiers. In chess, you can still win the fight if you're only good enough player. So we wanted to bring something like that into mobile strategy gaming. So this combined with the ability to control the units means that you can use your skills to progress faster on the top charts. In our game, you're able to pick any target, even if you want to challenge whoever is #1 in the global charts at the moment, you're free to do so. You probably won't win, but go ahead and try. And also, we feel that this increases the social aspect of the game dramatically. Say, I started playing this game 6 months ago. Now some of my real-life friends joins the game. In many other games, I would be so much ahead of him that we would actually never play together. But in our game, this means that he can actually try to challenge me. We can have fun together because we're free to choose our opponents. When you're choosing these opponents, I'm showing some case examples that what type of things you should look about. So obviously you need to plan your tactics, how you go about with the level. You can always preview the enemy level before you decide to attack. You need to consider the units that you have and the consumables which help you during the battle. You need to find what are the ways in this level, where should I go and when. And also one key thing is that in our game, those units who survive, you can keep them. So you can use them in the next battle as well. So you also need to consider when to retreat and when to escape from the battle. So in this case, based on what units I have here, what consumables I have here, this looks like a rather easy mission. So I would just go and attack, take care of the towers and go forward. However, a little bit tougher enemy. This would require similar thinking, but at this point I would need to really think hard about the strategy because mathematically I would be outnumbered in this level. So I really need to think cleverly how to take out some key towers with my consumables, which route to use and in which order. Maybe not even try to destroy the whole level, just collect some loot and escape, these type of things. And third example, if we go really far, this is virtually impossible considering the units that I have now. So removing the matchmaking doesn't mean you can really beat anyone because of course the mathematics play a role in the background, but it means that you have a lot more flexibility, and if you are a really good player, you're able to advance quicker. Another cool thing with this is that once I play the game, I put my iPad out, I come back to the game, I see replays who has attacked me. These are full-blown 3D replays. I can zoom in, rotate the camera, and this means that I can really carefully identify weak spots in my design of my own base. I can see how the players are attacking me, I can see what parts of my base are working, what are not, fix them and go get a revenge. And that's one of the key elements in our game that's driving the retention forward now. So all in all, as a summary, PvP without these matchmaking limitations means I'm able to progress quicker. If I attack much stronger players and I defeat them, there's also a downside to that quick progress because then I should expect attacks from players who are much stronger than me, much further in the game. So I need to be prepared with my defenses all the time. And basically, the fact that you can keep your units after the battles means that you no longer enter the battles with a single goal in mind, like I want to destroy the whole village. But I can enter the battle with a goal that, okay, I want notoriety, I want to increase on the chart positions, so then I just go after the mansion buildings and the key buildings that give me most score on that, and then escape. Or if I'm after gold or rum, I can just attack the gold storages and get out of there with my units, or simply have fun. And this is something that we do the most because nothing's as rewarding as kicking the butt of your real-time friends in a game that you both love to play. So to wrap things up, what we're about to do when we bring the next wave of fun to strategy games on mobile is basically three things. So full-blown 3D, taking the most out of the games with that, introducing the skill-based gameplay, developing that further, and removing limitations on multiplayer. So that's what we do. Thanks for listening. That's it for today. Any questions, thoughts? Yes?
How many units can I control during the battle?
It depends on the type of unit. So essentially in our game you can have 4 different squads, which is like a group of units. And weaker units you can assign up to 10 per squad. But if you have stronger units, then you can only assign a few of them into the squad. So it depends on the strength of the unit.
So again, it's 4 squads, each with 10 troops.
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you? It's very problematic today to let's say, to use a mobile device for real-time battles. So, do you think you found what is the platform that you're using for this game, and did you find any specific solution for real-time battle management?
Platform-wise, we're out on iOS now, so we are targeting both iPads and iPhones. The gameplay is designed in a way that obviously you need to simplify things compared to what you could do, for example, on PC because of the touchscreen thing. So when you start to play the game, very often you play with one squad of units, so one group only. So that's how you learn the basics. And the further you go in the game, the more units and the more squads you have in your disposal. But basically, you don't need to be tapping all around all the time, but it's tends to go in like waves, so that in the beginning of the battle, you think about how you spawn the units to the battlefield, you give them the initial orders, then you watch the battle go forward, you maybe spawn some more units, give them some orders. If something goes wrong, you need to react. But it's more like assigning orders to the units, watching how things go, and then reacting to that. And also using your consumables in between, things that help you take out towers, heal your units, and so on.
What programming tool did you use for the?
Okay, got it. So we're using Unity as a game engine. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah. Here.
Just a simple question. When you are attacked, what do you lose? Is it like Clash of Clans only loot, or do you lose? Do you have permanent damages on your base?
Okay, so when you're attacked, you basically lose notoriety, which affects your position on the global charts. And also you lose golden rum from your golden rum storages. And you also have the traditional thing that your buildings are destroyed for a while, but they rebuild again. So you don't basically take permanent damage in that sense. Yep, there's one.
Yeah. Does it work? Okay, I can hear it from the speakers. Yeah. So continuing to his question, is that there are several games that are a bit related to this. In like for PC, you have a Travian that is browser-based game, and in this game, one of the biggest problems is that you are attacked during the night. Everything is destroyed. If you don't wake up during the night to fix your buildings, everybody can just keep attacking you because all the towers are destroyed. So this is not very nice thing to have in a game, that you have to put your alarm clock 3 o'clock in the night so you can fix the damn towers. So have you solved this kind of problem somehow, or how are the defenses affected if you are attacked again and again before you can fix them?
There is immunity in play, which prevents sort of unfair results of being attacked by when you sleep. So obviously it's a game where we want the players to log in often to do something, social interaction, or collect resources or tweak their base or something. But it's been balanced out in a way that you can sleep 8 hours a night. You don't need to worry about losing everything. So I would say that comparing this to Travian, we are not on the same page when it comes to the frustration of the lost things during nights.
Excellent.
Any more questions? All right. Thank
Excellent.
you again.
Thank you all.
A big round of applause.